guys, it's Bastion time. And it just occurred to me recently that I have no idea whether or not you guys know that this is the Zelda watch, the official Zelda watch from the 80s. I'm not just some crazy person pointing at some kid's watch. Well, actually, yeah, I am. Anyway, welcome to This Week in Nintendo News. Let's get to those top stories. So like I said a few days ago, this is really kind of This Week in Zelda News Part 2, because I just had so much Zelda stuff that I couldn't shove it all into that video, so here are all the leftovers, and then also some Nintendo-specific news. In fact, I didn't even think we'd really have anything worth talking about, but then, out of nowhere, Nintendo dropped a bombshell and said, oh, by the way, there's going to be a new Nintendo Direct in less than 24 hours. And for those not familiar with Nintendo Direct, what that is Nintendo's live stream. It's not really live, they pre-record all of it, but then they present it at a specific time live. And so what that is just them basically telling you what's coming up in Nintendo software and hardware. So the big bombshell is the Nintendo 3DS XL. It's just a bigger 3DS is all. There's no new circle pad on the other side or anything like that. It's fairly inexpensive. It's certainly less expensive than the 3DS was originally, so that's pretty awesome. It's $199.99, and it has twice the battery life, we hear. That's pretty impressive. Twice the battery life of the original 3DS. The screens, both the top and bottom screens, are 90% bigger. So, for instance, the top screen is 4.88 inches. So it's considerably bigger. It's basically analogous to when they did the DS XL. It comes with a 4 gig memory card in it, and I think that's because they're really expecting people starting very soon to be downloading their games instead of purchasing physical copies of them. You can still purchase physical copies, but starting very soon you'll now be able to download at least all first-party games, and they're really strongly advocating third parties and providing massive incentives for third parties to go ahead and also do their games digitally. So it launches August 19th, and it's going to be released in red and blue here in the North America region. Over in Japan, they're going to get a white one, a red one, and a silver one, and same in Europe. I'm not really sure what's up with the color differences per region, but they probably test market and find out what colors Americans want. And I guess that's red and blue. Surprised there's not a white in there. Strangely enough, in America and Japan, it does come with a cradle charger thing, but in Europe it doesn't, and you're expected to purchase that separately. It's also releasing a little bit later here in the Americas, August 19th, as I said, to coincide with New Super Mario Bros. 2. Strangely enough, it's releasing way earlier, I think July 28th in Japan and Europe, so we got a bit of a wait. So besides the Nintendo Direct news, we also have been getting reports that for the regular 3DS, lately people have been noticing that the new ones have a yellowish tint for their screens. And so some concerned fans contacted Nintendo, and Nintendo's official response was something along the lines of, all screens are going to vary slightly in hue. That sounds like a bit of a cop-out to me. I feel like maybe that's just their way of saying, we don't really care. But it seems like they should want a sense of continuity amongst all the various screens. So it's kind of unusual that that they don't seem to care about that, but I guess it's not that big of a deal. Now let's get on to some Zelda news that was left over from that previous video. First of all, Mr. Miyamoto was recently interviewed, and the interviewer asked him, you know, there have been rumors about Retro maybe working on Zelda Wii U. Is that the case? and Mr. Miyamoto says that he cannot talk about what the project is that Retro's working on, but that they are too busy to be working on Zelda at this time. So there's that. We definitely know that Retro's not involved with Zelda Wii U. He does go on to say that it's not off the table, that he feels that they're competent and maybe they will work on a future Zelda title, but apparently it's not this current one. Our next story is about Bastion, not me, but the game. And let me just interrupt here for a moment to say it irks me constantly that people either misspell my name and put an O in there because that's how the game spells it, or that they just assume that my name is somehow related to that game. It's not. As far as what it is related to, you can check that out in a previous video, the Q&A video. But anyways, back to the story. It's that 1UP sort of did an article where they said that they feel like Bastion, because it's a action-adventure style game, overhead perspective, that's very similar to old-school Zeldas in that regard. And also you get a lot of weapons and items and things. They feel like the creators of Bastion should maybe be the people working on future Zelda titles. They don't say specifically handheld, I don't think, but I think that's the implication. Now, I'm probably going to tick off quite a few people here, but I recently played Bastion because, I mean, there was so much hype about it. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, it's the most amazing indie game ever, and everybody was in love with it, and I was really excited for it because all the critics and all of the fans have been saying it's so amazing, and I gave it a shot, and it was alright. It was a good game, but I don't feel like it was that amazing masterpiece that everybody has sort of hyped it up to be. The kind of gimmick is that every action that you do sort of has a narrator, real-time, sort of narrating it in a kind of gruff, sarcastic kind of way. And that's interesting, but that wouldn't really work in Zelda, I don't think, and that's really what makes the game. So, that being the case, I don't really see how they feel like Bastion's creators would make a good Zelda game. I really don't understand why 1UP feels like these people would make a better Zelda than Zelda, because I frankly find Zelda to be a whole lot better than Bastion. But again, Bastion is a good game, don't get me wrong. It's just, I don't really see where 1UP is coming from with this. And our next story is about the video series Pop Fiction. I think their very first episode was about the Chris Houlihan room and A Link to the Past. For those not familiar with the Chris Houlihan room, it's basically a debug room, and so it's very mysterious. Nobody knew exactly how for sure to get into it. There are all kinds of rumors and so on. I remember back in the day when I first heard about it, I went ahead and gave it a shot, and I wasn't able to get into it the first time, but then I was able to successfully, like, the second time. But basically what it is all the way back, Nintendo Power had this contest, and if you won the contest, your name would get put into a new Nintendo game. So this fellow, Chris Houlihan, won, and so you go, if you find this room, it has like a telepath tile like Sahasula uses to contact Link, and so when you activate that telepathic tile, it says something like, hey, this is a Chris Houlihan room, it's a secret to everybody, or something like that. So, anyway, they did a video about the various ways of getting into this room, but now they've updated the video because they found out finally definitively how this works. So if you want the details as far as how to get into the Chris Houlihan room, go ahead and click on the link in the description down below. So that's it for this week, and I can't decide whether I should call it Zelda or Nintendo news. That's it for this week in this video. Be sure to check back here on this channel. In fact, go ahead and subscribe while you're at it. But be sure to check... That was so salesman-y. But be sure to check back in a few days for the second part of the Q&A. I answered your questions, and then in the new Q&A you can ask me new questions. So see you then, guys. Bye.